Hi Amy. The question is, how do I overcome the fatigue and tiredness I feel day to day? Such a common question that I hear and see quite often. And what we need to look at is what's creating the stress as a starting point. And I know that's easy for a lot of people to answer what's creating the stress. But then what we need to look at how we can actually look after the body physically and emotionally. So we're going to start physically. So what I'm mainly doing, what I do first is looking at what I call the OAT axis for women, or it's called the TAT axis for males. So OAT stands for ovaries, adrenal glands, thyroid. TAT stands for testicles, adrenal glands, thyroid. This is a core part of the endocrine system and a core part of where tiredness and fatigue comes from. Because it generally comes from the adrenal glands or the reproductive system. And the reason it comes from the reproductive system is because when there's reproductive issues, it means that there's too much chitter-chatter happening in the mind. So we're actually dealing with the mind and the adrenal glands. So that's the first one. And then we need to look at supporting and looking after the kidneys and also the liver. Because if there's fatigue, I guarantee that they're fatigued and there's issues happening with those too. So we want to look at it on a whole spectrum, so we're assuring that we're supporting the whole body and the whole beingness of you. So starting with the OAT axis, we're going to look at capsules or natural herbs that you can take. So starting with the ovaries or the testicles for males, we're going to look at taking ashwagandha capsules, taking 2 of those a day. For the adrenals, we want to look at rhodiola capsules, taking 1 a day. And for the thyroid, we're going to look at taking shilajit and taking 2 of those a day. Now for all these capsules, we only want to do this for 2 months. Yeah? Then we're going to look at supporting the kidneys and the liver. So the best way to support the kidneys is 1, drink plenty of water daily. So drink 1.5 to 2 litres of water daily. Want to incorporate a juice that's really great for flushing and looking after the kidneys. It's very simple. Want to have half a cup of boiling water, half a cup of pomegranate juice, and just half a teaspoon of coriander leaves, finely chopped. And that'll help to flush the kidneys and look after the kidneys. Then for the liver, I want to take a herb called Kutkei, Kutkei. It's an Ayurvedic herb. You want to take 1 of those a day for the 2 months. So that's looking after the liver, looking after the kidneys, looking after the adrenal glands, the thyroid, and the ovaries or the testicles, if it's a male. But what we really need to look at for you is nutrition. Really looking at what you're putting into your body. Because we have different body designs, different body types, and we need to be putting into our body what our body needs based on our body design. So a simple way to know what type of body design you are on a principle level is to simply take your pulse. Count how many beats you have in 15 seconds. Then multiply that by 4 and that'll give you how many beats per minute you're having. The optimal is to be between 72 and 75 beats per minute. If you're between 70 to 80 beats per minute, it's showing that there's emotional imbalances. It's showing that there's radiant energy and chemical energy imbalances in the body, or an imbalance between the fire and the water in the body. If you're below 70, it's showing you that there is a physical imbalance in the body, which means there's a lot of heaviness in the body. We need to break through that heaviness. And then if you're above 80, it shows that there's spiritual imbalances. There's too much spiritual activity happening, too much mind activity happening, too much mental activity happening. And we need to balance those out through natural practices, but also through our foods, so we can balance out the whole lot. So for you right now, in regards to your fatigue, I feel it's a physical issue. It's a physical body issue. So what we want to look at is breaking through this heaviness and this lethargy that's in the body. We want to do that by looking at having foods that are going to break through that. Foods that are spicy, so start adding spices or more spice to your foods. Foods that can break through the heaviness, such as turmeric, such as ginger, such as garlic, such as chili. But what we want to look at is taking a herb called Gugul, G-U-G-G-U-L, that'll help support breaking through the heaviness as well. So we're looking after the oat axis, we're looking after the kidneys, we're looking after the liver, and now we're breaking through the heaviness. And just that extra little bit of addedness to settle down the nervous system, because that's what's happening here. This fatigue's being created because the nervous system is overactive. Need to look at having oil baths, black sesame seed oil. So if you can have a warm bath with black sesame seed oil in it, will really help to settle your nervous system and really help to start bringing you back to a place of health and a place of activity and a place of not feeling so tired and lethargic all the time. I do one-on-one intensives, and I do run retreats focused on supporting people like you to, get over the tiredness and the fatigue, where all nutrition is provided specific to you, exercises, healing treatments, the whole lot to support you to be able to move through the fatigue and the tiredness. If you want to take a look at those, or even any of my courses, which will give you more detailed information on all this, so going forward you can be aware of your own body and be able to deal with it yourself, you can just go to the website www.uniquecommunity.com.au. Go to experiences and all the information will be there. But the main thing here is following those protocols of looking after the liver, looking after the kidneys, balancing out the oat axis or tat axis for a male, and settling down the nervous system. A lot of fatigue and tiredness that people feel, from day to day, from time to time, generally comes back to two simple things. Generally comes back to loss or abandonment. So what do I mean by that? Like people that have fibromyalgia, generally when I've worked with those types, and we can shift the nutrition, we can shift a lot of things, but when we look at the core reasoning behind that fatigue and that tiredness, it comes back to loss or abandonment. So what I mean by that is that, they've lost or they've felt abandoned by one of their parents at an early age. And that can be physically, that can be emotionally, yeah? Or they've had a sense of loss through their life. They've lost a parent or a grandparent and they haven't actually dealt with that loss or they haven't dealt with that abandonment from childhood. So that is what creates a lot of that feeling of that tiredness and that fatigue. So when you can actually emotionally deal with that loss or that abandonment, that's when you can shift away from that lethargy of feeling lost, but that lethargy of feeling tired or fatigued. So a lot of tiredness and fatigue comes back to loss or abandonment on an emotional level. And then obviously there's the physical factors behind it, but when we're looking at the core root of it, it comes back to loss or abandonment. So to deal with the loss, the abandonment, you'll be able to deal with the fatigue and tiredness. Anyway, I look forward to hearing back from you and hearing that you've followed these protocols and that you've had amazing results, or even seeing you at one of the upcoming retreats or a one-on-one intensive or course. But until then, all the best with your health and take care. Quick disclaimer, I'm not a doctor, however I have doctors that support me on the other side. So when I can see dysfunction in your body, they support me to understand what the dysfunction is and also how to treat that dysfunction. I also tap in to my studies in Ayurvedic medicine to support with understanding the dysfunction and how to treat the dysfunction. However, if you have any concerns, please don't hesitate to go and see your doctor as the first point of call.